Welcome back to the Arabella block of the month. It is month number 10. We have one last block to do and a bunch of final sewing. This is going to be a great tutorial. Are you ready? Let's get stitching. Well, welcome back everybody. This is going to be super exciting this month. It is Arabella block of the month, block number 10, month number 10. My name is Rob Appell from Stitchin Heaven. And we are having a great time. Thank you so much for returning for another awesome tutorial on this incredible block of the month by Prayer Designs. It is called Arabella, and we've got a lot of sewing to do this month, folks. It's basically the end of the middle building, or the whole quilt center building. Month 11 and 12 will just be borders, so we've got a lot of work to do. I accidentally missed a step. That's okay. I know you all caught it last month, so we're going to return to last month real quick. So I'll just do real quick with the housekeeping. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. If you're interested in the pattern, if you want to do the block of the month, we're doing it again next year, 2025. All that information is in the description below. Sorry to be in a rush, but like I said, last month while we were working on these awesome little flying geese, maybe I should show you here, the flying geese blocks, I forgot to flip the pages over and bring into information, everybody, that we were going to go ahead, and build out these outer rows all the way through. Now, you probably all have caught this and figured it out and are catching up, but I want to take the moment to walk you through it. So this is what the whole thing with the blocks and the squares on the ends and everything look like. So again, month number 9, we did the flying geese. Let's go ahead and quickly do a review on what I want you to do to make sure that all of your colors and fabrics and blocks are in the correct orientation. Okay, so again, at the bottom of page 10, you are going to start by taking the flying geese units. They're all facing the same direction, so I'm going to keep them points up. As I bring in the piano keys borders, one of the things you can see, whether it's in the pattern cover, or obviously when you get into the diagrams and or the descriptions and everything here, okay, with all of the fabrics and all of that, this is what we're building right now. So we're going to take, and we're going to need like the left and the right sets. And I've already gotten a little ahead of ourselves by sewing on one of the flying geese here to this outside, the green and like cream, we'll just call it. Then we're going to have another flying goose set here in the center. And I want you to notice, this is the first key for color success, is the fabrics are going to mirror from here on out with this nice dark deep batik down here at the bottom. Okay, so what I did is I stitched on the flying goose block on that side, then I went ahead and I stitched it on the other piano keys border with my 1/4 inch seam allowance edge guide in effect here. I'm going to go ahead and turn needle down and on in case I need to stop. And right now, as I'm stitching through these, I'm just double checking to make sure I catch all my stitch points so nice right there as I need, as I come through. Okay, so then these will be joined here. But before I joined that, I found it was easier in my construction to take this last one, and as I rotate it, I'm looking here, so I'm going to rotate my flying geese, bring them on over to this other end, flip them over, and stitch them right in. And the nice thing about this pattern is everything is so accurate, is you can go from bottom up or top down. Again, you're mostly just watching or managing. I feel like I could have done a better job pressing. I shouldn't say that on camera. Now it'll go down in history. But at any rate, I've done my best personal precision job here, right? Okay, now as I rotate that back around, I'm going to join the flying geese to the piano keys, making sure everything mirrors. This just kind of helps keep the bulk and the weight. Okay, and I know you could all tell and all could see this very nicely in the diagrams, but I did feel terrible when I realized we forgot to do that in last month's video. Stitching this together now. So at this point, you should actually have all 4 of your piano key flying geese looking like this. Okay, notice that dark transition of the lights at the top. Okay, now as we bring this back down, we're going to look here and we're going to see on the outside edge on these flying geese that when we use, and these are the smaller, these were the ones that were finished down to about 8.5 versus the large ones that were at 12.5. We've got these star blocks and they're going to go, let's see, and these were called the patchwork stars, and these are going to rotate. Okay, and the big key is as they swing around, you have, I want to make sure I'm saying this totally correctly. Yep. You have a square block up here in the very top touching your flying geese. So you have a 2.5-inch square here, and at the bottom it comes down and it actually forms this real nice kind of another diagonal, and or you have a half square triangle. Okay, and on the other side, exactly opposite. So I'm going to just look for that square, lock those together. So from this point on, the biggest challenges are not in the construction, but it's in the orientation of the individual blocks. As you remember, several of the blocks we built through the months had different color orientations. Maybe one dark side to the star like you just saw, one light side. We're going to see in a little bit later today on the video, we're going to use one specific fabric block as a key as we continue on arranging blocks. These borders we're building right now, and I guess I can say this because I didn't actually write the pattern myself, it feels a little out of order because these are the outer patchworks, and we're going to then go back to the inner patchworks. But I had received a couple of questions about that, and yes, I had the same concept, is it seems like this would have been done after the months we're doing it, but that's all right. Okay, back over here one last time, just like on this side over here, when you bring it around, and that's why I like having a single piece of fabric to really look for, just like this square here touching with the flying goose. Here I've got my square with my flying goose. So those are going to lay over here just like before. And the nice thing is I can match up all of those seams as I go through. They may not be perfectly nested because of the ironing, but they're certainly going to give me nice little patchwork targets to shoot for as I go through. Every 2.5 inches here, locking those together. So now, technically, you're going to have 2 of your month number 9 with the entire sets with the squares on the outer edges, and you'll have 2 that are just the sets to here because these squares form cornerstones down the road. Okay, hopefully that wasn't terribly confusing to go back to month 9 at the beginning of month 10, but I wanted to make sure you had every step of the instructions from yours truly. So we're just going to set that down now, and we're going to dive into month 10 as we get started. Okay, and so with month number 10, here, what we're doing are called the step blocks. And I did get a nice head start and cut all my strips, stitched all my strip sets as it calls for here in the major set of instructions. The first thing I want to point out is this one fabric number 9 here. This is that fabric number 9. It's in every one of the strip sets, and it's going to help tie our colors together in this month's sewing. So we're going to do this grouping right now, strip set number A, or letter A, sorry, not number A. And that's a combination between fabric 9 and fabric 6. So you're going to have 5 different fabrics to cut this month. There's different sizes. Watch these 21-inch cuts. I might know a guy who may have almost cut them wrong. Just saying. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead. Let me set my label aside. I need to get some pins with some letters. I have numbers, but now I want lettered pins too to keep everything organized. I think that'd be wonderful. And I'm just using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm just going to do a nice easy stitch, joining these 2 strips And working from my kit, I started trimming them down. And when I realized the instructions, some of them I didn't have to cut all the way down to 21 because like my pieces were 22, 22 and a half. So you can see there might be a little bit of leftover. This is also important here. When you come into the instructions, it will also tell you which fabric to press to. And that's going to really help when we do our stair stepping coming down by having nesting seams, right? So right now it wants me to press to my fabric 9. So as I come to my wool mat, I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to hold up that fabric 9 and press the seams over on to fabric 9. So do follow your instructions, make all your strip sets and cut them down. Each strip set's going to be cut down into 8 subcuts. And these subcuts are 2.5 inches. I'm just going to double check yep, right there, 8 subcuts, 2.5 inches. Okay. And so to do that, I like to use a ruler, and obviously we're going to use a ruler and a rotary cutter, but first thing I'm looking at now is I'm checking my straight line here, and I'm also checking my perpendicular line, and I'm going to cut my 2.5s as I go through, and I'm going to stack them with my darkest colors, or noticing my number 9s running through A to F in the fabric choices, and they're labeled by their groupings. And that'll help us build these staggering stair step blocks here real quick. Okay, and now as I'm getting these last pieces, like I said, organized, A through F based on their color codes. Now what you want to look down is on page 11 here, you can see just like the last month, we're building in opposite stack or mirrored stacks of each other so that we get these cool kind of like triangles of light or dark that we're going to meet up with a center block here in just a moment. So with that being said, what I really want to do right now is sew this row from F over to A and another block from A over to F, and we're going to do 4 of each of those formulas. So what I think is probably wise for me right now is to actually move these top ones with the labels. Oh, I've got even a better idea. I think what I'm going to do real quick is just relocate my labels so I can just work right off the stacks. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, you know me, I like to sew where I'm looking at the next piece. So I'm going to start with A and I'm going to join to B, but I'm going to flip B on top of A here. And I'm going to go ahead, feed it into the machine, and I just want to nest up anytime I can where I have those seams because of the way they were pressed, so I can get a real nice, accurate patchwork going. The other thing I believe really helps with that accuracy is to press after each seam. So as I come over here, I like this because I can see there's still my A with my green. So I want to press into my new work. It's just one of my habits as I'm going through. So I'll do that. I'll set it here to stay organized. I'll grab my next piece, bring it together, noticing my greens are already starting to flow through. And if I need to make any slight adjustments, I'm going to make sure that I massage my fabric so that those fabric 9s or those darker greens touch. And for this month, I really couldn't get too much further ahead of you all to show you the next step. So I need to make these blocks. So why don't we all take a little personal sewing time real quick, and I'll continue to work out all of our stair step blocks today so that I can show you what comes next, and we'll finish out the video by sewing together all of the parts and pieces that are going to form that wonderful inner series of patchwork, and then we'll be able to also put on that outer series of patchwork we finished up last month, or at the beginning of today's video. As you can see now, we have all of the step blocks made. I have 2 left to assemble with everybody at home. I have a few now that I've put up on the wall to help bring together the idea of the borders and the borders with the cornerstone. So let's go ahead and get all of the rest of this sewing done together. So you've put together kind of your right and left sides of your step blocks. I've rotated them into the orientation really where they're going to fit best on the pattern here. I like this full color pattern, but of course you could also be using the diagram. In the diagram, they're really trying to point out the union of these dark squares here and the dark squares. Now this is the hourglass block, okay? And so when these form up, we're going to let these squares all touch in here, but we also want to make sure that the light sides stay against the star. Technically, you could accidentally rotate it like that. So I want to make sure that you stay complete, dark star against there, and let's just make these centers out together because you will do all 4 like this, and then we'll just add the cornerstones onto 2 more of what we'll call rows at that point. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead with that seam guide on there. And for something like this, it really isn't going to affect the other side. So I am going to just go ahead and quickly double check my orientation, put my right sides together, rotate it so it sews easiest with the weight of the fabric on the bed of the machine. Now we're just going to stitch on through here as well. But at this point, I will encourage us all to take a moment. Let's just press away from our center blocks. It's going to make life easier. Help keep everything nice and tidy, and definitely spot check to make sure that you have all your light kind of forming that cool rounded effect in the center. Okay. And again, as I rotate this through, I like to keep my orientation, again, as it is in the pattern. So I'm looking at the green step blocks going up now. And as I bring in the light dark star here, again, they very specific orientation, and one's going to go one way and one's going to go the other. So what I want to point out is this light fabric here is going to touch against the dark fabric on the outside. And if I'm in this orientation with all the weight or the darkness of the row across the bottom like this, okay, then when I rotate in, I'm going to have like this dark and heaviness here, now a kind of across the top. I'm hoping you can all see kind of that. You've got the page there, and I'm just going to go ahead and flip these over. Seems like we always have at least one nice little unit to match up piece by piece, keeping all the rest of the edge aligned as well. So you're only doing this to the 2 sides. All 4 have the 3 blocks, the 2 step blocks in the center star. And these are technically forming here what are these cornerstones out here on the design wall. Okay, and now that I can see that, I can again lock my lights to my dark with that heavy dark across the top there. Rotate all the work into the machine. Now I'm kind of locking together the bottom seam because that's where the squares went to. And folks, that really is it. That is the major construction, the final seam for the patchwork portion of the center of the Arabella quilt. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do, and I'm going to encourage everybody else to do, is over the next few weeks, while we get ready for months 11 and 12, we still have a lot of big border strips to put on, a lot more work to do with those. But I think it's going to be very wise if we take the time to go ahead and start by putting on the short sides to the center, then put on these long pieces that we just made, and then go back to the end of the month 9 units here that we have that had the wonderful flying geese pieces in them, and those will go around the entire outside. So when you're looking at your black and white diagram here on page 12, you can really see this. The key I want to point out from this point on is when it comes right down to it, the pieces we've made today, this month, month number 10, this darker portion touches up against the center of the block, or of the center of the quilt. See the darkness here touching up. There's the darkness. I know it's a little bit out of frame. Okay. Then when you get to the outer patchwork areas, the parts that have your flying geese in them, all of the flying geese are going to point in to the center of the Arabella quilt, right? They're all going to point towards the center star. So if you use those tricks for orientation, of course, putting on your short sides before your long sides or the sides of the cornerstones, it all should go together swimmingly well. And that way we'll all be caught up and at the exact same place for month 11 and month 12, where we start to put on the borders and maybe even discuss some quilting options for our Arabella block of the month. Anyways, folks, I certainly hope you were able to get all the information. You may need to watch this video twice because of my little blunder in month 9. Make sure you understand the way all of your blocks go together. Make sure you're caught up for next month. Thanks again for sewing along with me today on the Arabella block of the month. If you didn't participate this year, be aware, Stitchin Heaven is already preparing for 2025. We'll be doing this all over again. Kits are now available for purchase on the block of the month starting in January 2025. Videos will remain out there for everybody. So if you didn't do it this year, folks, I think you're going to really want to do it next year. Make sure you grab one of those kits. There is a link in the description. Make sure you make sure you subscribe and smash that like button, and we'll see you next month. Until then, please stay well. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. It really helps support our channel. If you haven't subscribed, do so now. Hit the little button to be notified every time we go live or do a new video for all of you. And here's one from the past I think you'll really enjoy.